Okay. So all right.
So for going back to it, Turner for assistant chief, is that what I was being asked to consider?
Correct. Yes. Transparently, we want to have a little bit of visibility, and the
Okay.
reason is, and I want to explain this, is that we want to make sure that you have like as much autonomy as you can, and the reason we're sort of asking for a bit of a pre-baked response is even for ourselves, this is huge, right? Unlike
Right.
Blaine County, that's got like a new department opening up, right? They got their new department, they got the hand pick, whatever. The reality is LSPD is gonna have 90% of the crimes, right?
Yeah.
And on top of that, we're gonna have 90% of the workforce, and all of this ties to our revenue. All of it ties to ensuring that crimes that are solved here, that revenue comes back to this county, because otherwise that affects your paycheck. It affects the paycheck of the people that will be residents of Los Santos. There's a lot of, I don't know how much UPD is going to be left, is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And
Right.
and so, it's kind of why the whole we're very we would like to see high command in shift 1 and 2, because the reality is it is prime time. At this time it's fucking insane, and it's usually when the craziest of crazy shit happens. So without a LSPD high command in that position, things will not be. We don't believe things would get resolved in a quick enough fashion when it needs to, right? Like, for example, we have another July 3rd, God forbid. There's going to be like certain decisions that may need to be made like in the moment, right? And without that facility in place,
Agree.
So okay, we can kind of move past this. Like, we don't need an immediate answer, but I'm glad you're thinking about it. Like, who that ass chief could be.
Yeah, so I've had names that have come to mind, like the ones that I've mentioned, but I kind of want people to sort of like I kind of want to, instead of just naming someone and putting them there, I want them to like interview, because I want to see what sort of lines they're along. Like, obviously, I don't want someone who's the exact same copy as me. I want someone who is gonna not be shy to question things that I bring up or suggest or anything like that. But I also want someone who has got the same sort of end goal with LSPD, sort of improving the relationship between LSPD and literally everybody else within the state of San Andreas. And the same sort of goals in mind to have with officers at a basic level, how we're going to tackle these issues, that sort of thing. Just to get to the point where we're a well trusted department, instead of having officers who are literally jumping every time they hear a state marshal asking to speak with them.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of officers who feel like they're being plagued by a nightmare at the moment.
Yeah, I've got my own. I can totally get that.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
We get it. Yeah, we understand.
Tilly, if you want to continue with the question.
Do any of you guys have before we like start asking the usual thing that we ask towards the end, do any of you guys have questions about the position as a whole?
Do you guys, you mean me?
No, I'm talking to them.
Oh, okay.
I think a majority of my questions were answered, so I'm good. Abby?
What? Wait. I don't know what the usual things.
Okay, all right. So, I know that you've already answered some of these, right? We'll do it. We'll ask again though, because why not? We're gonna throw you a couple of names, and you would just answer if you would think that they would make a good chief of police, and why or why not. All right?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, we'll start with you kind of already answered this. We'll double back on it. We'll start with Ruby.
Okay. All right, Ruby, I think she could be good. She's very sort of behind the scenes sort of focused in terms of the organization of things, getting things put into place, discussions, meetings, that sort of thing. I think she's very good at, I believe she was the one who set up the sort of training process in shift 2 and held that for quite a while. She's still very heavily involved in training and hiring, which I think is good because not everybody is about that life. It can be tough. I'd say Ruby's
McNulty
downfalls
might
are more to
be
do with
the best option.
out on the field. I don't think it's a be all and end all to have the best scene leadership skills or field
even
skills
if that means
to be in a position of high command. But it is something that you should be able to do.
Even though I share the same concern
make
that
your
might be pulling him off the ground. But he's shift 2. Like, who else is going to be shift 2?
The things that they need to do their job properly and appropriately.
Who else really fits?
I think
it's the best. It's the best to have him there.
The only downside I would see to
but
Ruby
it seems
is sort of like the vibe / morale part of it with her out on the field.
You guys are
in
correct.
Specific situations, like I guess we keep falling back to things like something as major as July the 3rd, or the council meeting shooting that happened as well. Stuff like that. People look to a leader in those situations, you know.
Are you saying
no? Hell no, not Decker.
Not a leader?
I'm saying in terms of giving people the strength that they need in those dire times. She's not going to be the one that's there sort of orchestrating each move.
Yeah, I think Jimbo would be too hard of a sell, to be honest.
Tend to do in a field sort of situation.
Okay.
She's definitely someone who cares about the force, though, and cares about the individual officers within the force. So
Decker loses his shit too often. It's just the reality.
Okay. Am I good to mix it up, Nino? Because you yelled at me last time I did.
As long as we're not talking about activities in the mayoral office. As long as we keep it professional.
Okay. All right. We'd like to switch up the names, right? So some of the names I say are just kind of like wild cards. All right. Officer Slacks.
Slacks? No, I don't see him being a chief of police.
Why?
I think his intentions are good. I just don't think he executes a lot of what he wants to do or sets out to do. It's very much known as someone who will look into things, and then that's kind of where it ends. You never really see the results.
Right. McNulty, I know you already kind of we'll tap dance through him if you want to.
That's okay. McNulty, I think he's too field focused. I think he's fabulous out in the field, and I think he gives people that empowerment behind it. But I do think he's very as much as he comes across as stern and strict, I think he's actually the opposite and doesn't hold people accountable as he should.
Wow, it's the first time I heard that.
Like, he's kind of more willing to just sort of shrug it off and laugh at it when actually it might be something really bad that we need to be seen publicly to be to address, right?
Do you think on McNulty, I've seen different sides of him. He can be very passionate when talking, and sometimes I think that may hide the I've spoken to him a couple times, and his passion and conviction to a certain point can sometimes, I think, hide the degree of opinion that he actually has, if that kind of makes sense. Like,
right.
He's sometimes, to me, come across a bit like thin blue line, like protect my offices at all costs, even if it's at the even if as negative results for the civilians kind of thing. Is there truth to that? What is he thin blue line, or is it a misread?
So he's not, because he'll call out officers who are doing dumb things and he'll dap them or whatever. But I think that's kind of where it stops.
Okay.
I don't think he's the sort of person to push for. Actually, no. I think he would suspend. I don't think he's someone who would review someone's job as an entirety. I think he would just kind of let it slide and just deal with it with just a suspension and a DAP or whatever, even
Okay.
if it was something pretty terrible. It's a really hard one to get with McNulty, because he does exercise his right of being frustrated at people, and he can come across as almost angry, and he'll yell at people. But then I feel like, how okay, so say you've got your parents, you've always got that like one uncle or aunt who'll sort of just like let you get away with it. He's kind of like that.
Do you think he would do it to the degree of covering up a potential crime?
No, I don't believe he'd do that.
Okay. If a civilian were to bring a complaint to him, would he look into it before making judgment?
I think he'd take it seriously.
Okay.
But I think if it came to the fact that it's just challenging, it's like, I don't know. It's coming from someone who was arrested and processed and sent away. I think he's more inclined to be like, oh, they're just Karening for the sake of Karening,
Yeah. That is, I don't want to dial too back, but I think if he was chosen as AS chief, and I transparently think he may be the best option, if there is no Jimbo-esque equivalent, because I do
Right.
agree about a lot of his positive qualities. That would be the only bit where I think we've been concerned with is it too much? Because look, if people are going to bitch and complain in the cells, that's just the reality of things, right? Very similar to how I get phone calls about stupid shit. But
Yeah.
at the same time, when they are in the cells, they are the custody of law enforcement. And while they may be like bitching and complaining, there may be some truth to why it's occurring.
Oh yeah.
So that would be my only hey, got to make sure there's no, you know what I'm saying? Like all the
Yeah.
thing isn't
So
disregarded.
I think the only the biggest concern that I would have with McNulty is that I have seen that he'll exhibit, like, I know he'll talk about people in a specific way. There's already jokes flying about an officer that was recently fired as of yesterday. And he was referring to them as, well, they're just going to become another criminal sort of thing, just sort of resigning them to that life.
That's always a dangerous mentality, right? And I get why it's in the police force. And I think one of the reasons why it's so important for, and I know we're kind of going off base a little bit, but I do think this touches on a very important subject. My observation as a lawyer throughout the campaign is that outside of yourself being one of the few, it's almost like most of my conversations, not just you, but there's been Belle, for example, she's been fantastic. There's been a lot of good ones, but the majority, it unfortunately has been, who are you going to put as chief if you become mayor, if I vote for you? What are you going to get us if you become mayor?
Oh.
And while that has value to it, part of that concern should be, what are you going to do for the city, right? The bigger picture, right? And in the same light, I sometimes get a sense that PD has been in its own bubble, unfortunately, and I understand why, right? A lot of it, I think, has to do with the past administration and the them versus us mentality that's been generated. And while the outside world, specifically criminals, will make it about the PD and not the officer that they have issue with. Be it someone does one thing to a criminal organization. They take it out on the entire police department. That's unfair. But we, as a government, I think, want to try to remove some of those walls. And
Yeah.
I think that can make a much healthier environment where now if someone is thinking about pulling the trigger, it's not a cop, but it's, you know, it's Belle, it's Flop, it's Vivienne, it's, and I that's a good place to get. So as far as we are very, as you know, we're still working on the policy that we'd like to, you know, push towards the LSPD. It'll probably be a couple days, but one of the things that we're very that we think is very important is if an officer is suspended, there has been a fear that if it gets found out who is suspended and what they did, they're going to get hunted down. That's kind of an odd fear to have, because if they're suspended,
Then you've handled it, right?
well, you've handled it, absolutely. And what are they going to, it's not like you're keeping them in a cage for 3 days. Where else
No.
are they? Or they're not, what, they're sitting in their apartment for 3 days? We want them to be out and about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let them be out and about. Let them, we want to remove the whole, if they're suspended, they can't get on some train or whatever. No, let them be out and about. Like, yeah, they may get picked up, but that's also 3 days they get used to the community and tell their story and get to know people. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's a very, I don't know, someone help me here. It's very strange to have a environment where if you're suspended for 3 days, you're just in a black hole.
It seems like the end of the world when it really isn't.
Yeah.
You should actually make it like a civilian outreach in the meantime.
Yes. Yep.
Like make them
Yeah,
go
it's a
and do
shitty
civ
feeling.
jobs. Like go and make them do like civilian jobs to connect with the
Mhm.
people and things like that. I think that should maybe be a precedent.
I agree.
I feel like and this like stems from a long time ago as well. I feel like too many people are afraid to even visit a suspension as a disciplinary action.
Yeah. No.
People see a suspension akin to a firing, like they're the same
Yeah,
thing.
no.
I understand that it's not something that everybody will want to go through. It's not a nice feeling to be suspended from something. But at the end of the day, we're afforded a hell of a lot more power than your average person. And if someone is going to misuse it or even do something accidentally with ignorance or whatever, then it kind of needs to be a punishment that's fitting to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um,
I mean, we'll go as
I don't
far
even-
as saying, like, if you suspended 2 people a week, like, I'm using extreme, so what? You know what I mean? And we'll even say that in terms of, like, the policy, like, I am a strong believer that that by punishing quick, if you can do it that day, even if you miss a little bit, it's whatever, is not that much different than what civilians and felons have to come across. And in the same sense, that cop shouldn't have to worry, okay, I got suspended twice in a month, I'm going to get fired next. Who cares? Like, unless they're actually super negatively affecting the department's ability to function, or like they're truly like Carmine-esque, right? Or like they've committed terrorism, just keep suspending them, right? And normalize it. So it becomes oh, that guy's suspended. Nice. You know what I mean? Like, just as anyone else might be like, okay, so-and-so got thrown in jail for like, 300 months. Like, that normalization makes that problem disappear entirely. But,
yep. No, I agree with that.
Tilly, you want to, any other?
Continue.
I'm good. You know.
Is there any other that you have?
No. I've had a good conversation with Viv already.
Good. Well, I feel bad, hopping on to. Is there anybody that I missed that you can think of?
Not off the top of my head.
Mm.
All right. Look,
Is there anybody you think I missed, Eve? With
I think you did everybody.
Okay. Vivienne, if you could
Yeah.
start sort of planning how you want to see your you know, um
your
if made
5-year
cheap
plan?
in a week or whatever, who's going to be there, try to get
Okay.
some concrete stuff. If you names come up, they're like, here's the ass chief, um, like that may be in a different department or somewhere, like hasn't been around for a minute, let us know.
Okay.
I don't really want to
Alright.
waste any more time taking interviews. There's no one else worth taking. Just don't let anyone know, at least just yet, so Barrick doesn't commit terrorism.
Wait, what?
Yeah. I don't think he's going to. He's just off his fucking rocker, to be honest.
He might.
So,
Wait, I'm confused.
wait, about what?
Why would he commit terrorism? Because what?
I don't know. It was a joke. Like, I don't think he's going to commit terrorism. He's his mind's all over the place.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
We'd
Yeah.
appreciate it if you kept it on the
I had
down
an
low
attack
for
on
now,
my
though.
life.
Wait,
earlier
kept what
today.
on the down low? I think I've missed something.
Wait, who said that?
What?
Oh,
Tilly
Oh.
just said if you keep it on the down low.
oh yeah. Look, we've been doing a lot of interviews. You're the only person that I think should be chief. And congratulations, Vivienne.
Oh.
But we don't know. We got to figure out what buttons we got to press. Just quite frankly, as we were sitting here, we're talking through this. I've kind of realized that every other conversation we have is just looking for an alternative that may be able to challenge you, and there really isn't. So if you're willing to accept the position, we'd like to give it to you. We just don't know what we got to do to make that happen. So between now and like next week, try to have something in place. We're going to try to get a policy in place. We will give you the opportunity to look at the policy and see if that's acceptable, to you. And it does, the offer does stipulate that we need to know who the ass chief is, not because of any other reason than we need to ensure that we have a strong plan in place. Like, do keep it to yourself for now, because it's going to be a couple days. We don't want, something bad to happen because someone's jealous or whatever it is.
Okay. No, of
Yeah.
course.
And we'll announce all this, and we'll make it a big thing. But if you're willing to agree to that, that is.
I'm willing to agree to that. Yeah.
All
Thank
right.
you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thank you for
Well, congratulations, Viv.
yeah.
Thanks. I would like to kind of. Do you mind if I kind of find a roundabout way to talk to people to see what sort of page they're on? Obviously,
Yes.
not giving anything away.
Yeah.
Trying to do it in the most sneakiest
Yeah.
way possible.
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's fine then. I'll do that.
Yeah.
You don't even have to do
Okay.
it in a sneaky way. You're basically interviewing for the position, as are a lot of other people, and just going around and questioning that sort of stuff is some of the things that those other officers getting interviewed should be doing anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And worst
Yeah,
case,
but
we've
yeah,
asked you to
guys.
do homework and on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
It's a part of your
I'm fine with
proposal,
that.
quote unquote.
Mhm.
All right. Easy.
Make sure
Okay.
you keep your mind open about it, though. You know what I mean? Like, interview
yeah.
those people that maybe you didn't think would
Oh,
fit
yeah,
that.
that's my plan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Yep. Thank you, Vivienne.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Okay. I'm good to go, right?
All right.
Yeah.
Yep. You're good to go.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
Chief
Congratulations.
of police.
Thanks, guys.
See you on the other side.
I'll see you soon. Okay.
Yep.
Take care.
All right. You take care.